What's up, everybody? Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. I've really taken some inspiration from vidIQ. If you're not familiar with them, they are a YouTube channel that specializes in helping content creators grow on YouTube. And they do these live streams, I think once a week, called channel audits, where they will take viewer submissions on their channel and basically give advice about what they could be doing better. So I thought, that could be interesting. I don't want to do just channel audits since that's not what this channel is all about. We're kind of in multiple spaces here. I want to do something called, I'm going to call it Content Audit. But today is going to be a channel audit. I have today joining with me, we have John Gomez here of ATL Resell Guy. He has a YouTube channel with about 375 subscribers right now. John, tell me a little bit about yourself. What do you do here on YouTube?
Well, first, thank you for having me on. Thank you for taking some time to do something like this. And
Absolutely.
Thank you for allowing me to be the guinea pig for this new type of content. So yeah, I'm a reseller on the side. I have a full-time gig, but as a hobby, for the most part, I do some reselling on eBay. I go to places like Goodwill, thrift stores, even on Facebook Marketplace. I find things that are undervalued that I can buy and flip on eBay for profit. So that's the majority of my content on eBay, is just kind of sharing with people, either me going out and purchasing these things, telling them about the deals that I get and what I think I could potentially sell them for on eBay, or also the sales that have happened. I highlight those in some of my videos. And on another aspect of the channel, a lot of my sales have to do with video games. And I find that that's a lot of my most popular content. So I like to focus in a little bit on video games and how I've used reselling in order to start collecting in the video game sector.
So as far as video games, what kind of content are you making there specifically? Is it mostly related to like the reselling stuff, or are you like playing video games? Like, give me a little bit more details there.
Yeah. So it's mostly finding good deals either on like collections that people are selling that I can look at pictures of and know that 2 or 3 games in there are worth twice as much as they're asking for it. What I'll typically do is buy a collection, sell a couple things off, and allow myself to keep what I want out of that for free, essentially. I don't do any like live streaming or playing video games and commentary in that space just quite yet. I do have plans for another channel that's going to be doing a lot of that. But yeah, it's mostly values of video games, hard to find stuff, good deals, and what I end up selling them for and how much profit I make.
Gotcha. So would you say that with the video game content, is it closely related enough to your main reselling content to where there's not going to be, say, 2 different audiences? So like one thing with YouTube especially, so I recently did a video with my friends of the YouTube channel Out of the Basement. They focus on collecting Star Wars action figures and doing reviews and such, but they actually initially started by doing movie reviews and just talking about pretty much all of their interests. And they found that didn't really work because they were bringing in separate audiences. So like the movie audience didn't really like the action figure stuff. The action figure audience didn't really want to be there for the movie stuff. So would you say that content is related enough to where it isn't going to bring in 2 separate audiences like that?
I think it's kind of a yes and no answer. I think there's enough people that it doesn't polarize, that they're interested in kind of both things. I'm imagining some of my viewers and subscribers are really only interested in like the thrift store finds and the videos of me going out and about and just looking for places and finding deals. And there's going to be a group on the other side are just interested in the video game collecting aspect of it. I think it meshes okay. I don't think that it's hurting performance in a sense, but I know that YouTube does prefer people to hone in on one specific category in order to really like grasp that audience.
Out of curiosity, how long have you been making videos on your channel?
So it kind of started during the pandemic, which is when I started a lot of things. I started watching resellers on YouTube and seeing that they're finding these good deals out in the wild and making money selling on eBay.
Right.
So I watched enough of that to get an idea of things that I could find as well and do the same thing. That turned into getting good sales and building up an eBay store. And then I figured, I mean, they're doing it. I'm already buying these things and selling them. Why don't I just document it as well?
Right.
So it kind of birthed out of that. And I started collecting video games at the same time as well. So it just all kind of came up and meshed together. I didn't really put too much thought into the fact that I'm really making two different types of videos for really two different types of audiences.
Right. So we'll get into this a little bit more later, but it's not something you necessarily need to concern yourself with too much right now. It's actually a debate that I'm having with this channel because me personally, I'm a professional video editor. I'm currently not making any money on YouTube. I make all of my money editing for other people like yourself, for instance.
Right.
So I wanted to kind of make content about that, but I'm like, should I do this on the same channel? Should I separate them? That's still a debate that I'm having, and it's something I'm going to address later. That could be something you might want to address later, especially if you start implementing some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. But it's not something I would overly concern yourself with right now. I think the biggest thing with YouTube, especially in the beginning, is just pumping out content and just kind of learning what works for you, what doesn't.
I think it's not a bad thing to experiment either, especially when you're young and small. You're not going to lose 1,000 subscribers because you put out a video that has nothing to do with everything that they've been watching, you know? I put out a video last week that was the top 10 Super Bowl commercials that I thought were funny. I just felt like putting out something like that. I don't know. I mean, it struck, I know it doesn't sit with my audience. It's just something that I thought was a cool idea.
You could just completely shift your content too. I mean, if that's something like that were to work out, I mean, you just never know. Experimenting is great. That was actually with the main channel I work for, Bruzel, we focus on bourbon content. And my client wanted to focus specifically just on bourbon, but like we started mixing in like different kinds of mixed drinks and stuff like that. And then the channel just blew up, you know, from there. So, I mean, there's definitely nothing wrong with experimenting. So why don't we go ahead and get into some of the tips I kind of wrote out here for you. I came up with 3 things that I noticed immediately without even watching any of your videos. You were gracious enough to let me view some of your channel analytics. I'm not going to show them all on the screen here, but the 3 things I really wanted to talk about. So here's the things that I think you're doing really well right now, and it's that you're very, very consistent. I mean, we got February 17th, that was 3 days ago, 13th, 10th, 9th. I mean, you're really killing it. One of the things that a lot of YouTubers struggle with, especially myself, is just putting out content. You have to be putting out videos. Like last year, I think I put out like 4 videos, and then I just kind of gave up. So, you know, that doesn't work because you don't know, like you can't gather the data that you need without putting out videos like that. So definitely I commend you for that, for putting in the effort to continuously put out videos. Aside from that, some of the things that I noticed quite a few of your videos have a copyright strike, not a strike, but a copyright warning.
Right.
I didn't watch all of the videos that had this, but that is something you're just going to kind of watch out for because it could be hurting the channel in the way that YouTube may be suppressing you a little bit if you continuously have copyright. It's not a strike, but I don't know what else they call it. But you know,
they call it a claim.
A claim, right?
Yeah.
A claim. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was using backing tracks and outro music for kind of the end screen that has the channel subscribe button and you know, the other videos for users to watch after they finish the video. And I was noticing that too. So part of my background is music production. And I've been taking a lot of steps to build up a catalog of myself, self-created music that I can use for these backing tracks because I noticed the same thing. And if a video hits or I start to kind of get some traction, I don't want something like that to be hurting me, like you say. So
Exactly,
from
because
this
it
point
gets to
forward,
be,
all of my music, everything will be all original.
with the channel that I work for, Brizzle, we noticed that if there's just something off that YouTube doesn't like that we did, that our videos start tanking. Like, not tanking, but like, you know, we'll get like 9 out of 10s on our releases instead of, you know, the one. We usually, like, if we got like a good performing video, we hope it's at least a 3 out of 10 right when we release it. But, you know, if we notice if something goes wrong, we'll start getting those 10 out of 10s, and it's like, what's going on, you know? So that's something I'm a little concerned about, but you've already addressed that, so we don't even have to worry about it.
For people watching, when you're referring to 1 out of 10, 3 out of 10, 10 out of 10, are you talking about last 10 videos top performing?
Yep. So if you don't mind me showing it real quick, I can show everybody. So we got on your main dashboard here. So your current video that you just put out was a 4 out of 10, and this is just your last 10 videos. This isn't like all of your videos that you have out, just the previous 10 that kind of compare them as far as performance goes. And, you know, it's quite possible. One of the things I want to talk about is your thumbnail, and I think this is one of your better thumbnails that you have on your videos here. So it's cool. A little well, this one didn't have the strike, I'm sorry. So, or the claim, but regardless. So, but moving on, some of the best practices that I've found, both in my experience and just watching and studying other YouTubers, is the title and the thumbnail are key.
Oh, yeah.
Now, what does that mean exactly? There's some debate there. You want to try to engage or pique the interest of the viewer. You know, you want to give them a reason to click. So, like, for instance, you got your selling my video game collection, which is a really great, this is a really nice thumbnail, really bright, colorful. We got the big image of the game here. Really nice job on this one.
It helps having a little bit of background in graphic design as well, most definitely.
Yeah, absolutely.
General understanding of like composition, you know, color complementaries and that kind of thing.
Right. But what can we do here to kind of improve this, and maybe some issues with some your other thumbnails that you have? So for instance, let's look at this one. Should I have taken his word for it? I think I have that one pulled up. This one right here. So this one is pretty good too. My main issue here with this one is that your box here with the PlayStation controllers, and I'm assuming these are video game controller guns right here. This isn't very big. So when I'm looking at this right here on the screen, when I have it maxed out like here, right here, looks pretty good. I'm going to introduce you to a tool here that will help you out. It's called thumbsup.tv. And this will actually, you can upload your thumbnail here, and it will show you your thumbnail of all different sizes and how they show up in all areas of YouTube. The different, like the cell phones, desktop, TV, all that. So, for instance, when we have like the sidebar here, you could see that I can't really tell what that image is. So what I would have done here is maybe we don't really need you in the background here, or this toad, not really a main focus here. The main focus is obviously this image, this part of the image right here. So I probably would have just blown this up and really maybe kind of blurred everything else, or just darkened it a little bit, just so we can really get a crystal clear vision of what's in the box here.
Definitely.
And I've noticed that with quite a few of your thumbnails that are kind of like that, whereas like even looking at it on the studio here, it's just very small and you can't really tell what's in here or what's on your image with both the text and the pictures. Now, I mean, you can't get it 100% of the time. I know it's really difficult to, you know, make the absolute perfect thumbnail if such exists.
Sure.
But just something to consider when you're creating those things.
Yeah, as I'm editing, you know, part of graphic design is you get in to see detail. You also do want to zoom way back so that you'll get some sort of understanding of what it's going to look like to somebody on a smaller scale.
Right.
But yeah, definitely I understand the concept of like getting whatever the main focus is, bright, big, Sometimes blur a background just to kind of make that contrast and make that clarity even more clear. But like you said, yeah, I mean, sometimes you do what you got to do just to get it out on time.
Right.
And I think with that one, I did actually crop out, saturate and brighten and blow up to a certain degree just to help with because I noticed that too when I was editing. But yeah, I wanted to make a thumbnail that had the person that I was interacting with, some sort of still shot from the actual video.
Gotcha.
I've seen that as a trend in people that go out sourcing and hunting and garage sailing and all that kind of stuff. So figured I'd try it.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. I want to go over one more thumbnail because thumbnails are they're probably the most important, according to Mr. Beast, at least. They're the most important aspect of YouTube.
That could be a whole channel is thumbnails.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But this thumbnail right here, this is one of your most popular videos aside from you have one other that has like 8,000 views, but this one struck me in particular because I actually wanted to talk about the title and description on this one as well. Cool. But one thing I wanted to highlight, the issue that I have, kind of the same issue that I have with the other one. I wish the squishmallows were a little bit bigger, a little bit brighter. But the thing that you also want to consider maybe is losing some of the text that's on here. Just because we found that at least with the channels that I've worked with in the past, that the text on the screen doesn't really add too much to the thumbnail as far as making people want to click or anything like that. So I understand what you got going on here with the squishmallow, like for sure, but I'm assuming that most people are probably going to know what this is, especially if they're somebody like you, always on the hunt for what's popular and whatnot. So I think you could probably lose the squishmallow madness here. And with the filled the cart, I don't think you're going to be able to see that. I had it pulled up here on the thumbsup.tv, so you can see it a little bit. But what I think would be better here, and just a note for your overall channel, is just if something you think is like high value like this, like I don't know how much they sell for in comparison to what you purchased them for, but putting just like the dollar symbols, you know what I mean? Like just like a bunch of them, just to signify to the audience, like this is money, you know? I think that would be a good idea.
I'm picturing it now, just no text at all entirely, and just the cart and an arrow, you know?
Right, yeah. And here's the thing too, you can go back and change any of this stuff too. So if there's something, you know, that you agree with me and you like want to go back and fix it later, I mean, you can see this video climb back up just because I don't know how popular these are right now, but you could still rank and search with these or with this video pretty well. I think the thumbnail's still pretty good as it is, but you know, obviously just little tweaks here and there.
Yeah, I think with most of my videos being sub 500 views, once one actually takes off and starts to have a nice trajectory upwards, I don't want to touch it or do anything. Yeah, you know.
I know that can be a little challenging, but we have found that you should be okay as far as changing things. Like I don't know if you're familiar with Dr. Disrespect, the streamer. Being in the video game community, you might know who he is.
Yeah, I know the name, and I've seen clips of, you know, people that reference it, definitely.
Right. So he did a bourbon, and we did a review of his, and it's our most viewed video right now. It's climbing up to 300,000 views right now for long form. And I mean, if the title wasn't right, I went and changed all of the like the description, some of the tags, because I'm like, I want to pump these numbers up, you know. So yeah, definitely don't shy away from that.
Cool.
Maybe I mean, if you don't do it right away, I mean, that's fine. If you want to give it, like, most of your views are probably going to come from the first week, but after that, you're probably pretty safe if you want to hold off on anything. And if your video is just not doing really well in the beginning, I would change it immediately, to be honest. Like sometimes we'll have 2 or 3 thumbnails mocked up, and if it's not working out, we'll make a change, you know, in the first hour that the video's released.
I've started to do that a little bit, drafting a few different versions, but really I land on whatever I prefer the most and stick with that and just kind of let it go and see. But yeah, I could probably be much more proactive in those first was not 48, it was 72 hours where YouTube is kind of like figuring out what you got here and figuring out how people are responding to it and deciding whether they're going to promote it or just kind of let it slide. So yeah, that's something I can definitely improve on.
So I love the title on this video. I think this is one of your best titles that you got, but all these Squishmallows with Squishmallows capitalized at Kroger to resell on eBay. For you, I think that is a perfect title for you as far as search and curiosity.
Yeah.
So this is something I'd love to see you do on all of your videos. So for instance, this one, you have just, should I have taken his word for it? Now, I understand that you want to try to pique their curiosity as far as like, what are they talking about? But you have to look at it from the perspective of somebody who doesn't know who you are and what your channel is. So with the title and description especially, you want to try to put as much information and keywords in both as you can. So with there's some tools that you can use. One I really like is vidIQ. We talked about them being an inspiration for this. They have a Chrome extension and you'll actually see it right here. So we have a vidIQ scorecard right here where it ranks, it's actually out of 50, but since your video's been out, they actually rank it out of 100. But as far as actionable items you could be taking to make your video more friendly for search, so like triple keywords in the title, you get a 1 out of 5 here. So what I would have done is, to try to integrate like the PlayStation 2 in your title, definitely in the description and then as your tags too. I don't have many notes for your tags. I think you're doing pretty well with your tags. But definitely you want, as far as the triple keywords, like it's talking about on the little thing here, keyword in your title, your description, and your tags, you should have at least one of those that match in all 3 areas. What was kind of the thought process behind using more of a vague title?
Yeah, so when I first started creating content, I would pack in as much as I could into that title with all those keywords, with, everything that you're mentioning and little to no result or it didn't seem like it was benefiting the performance of the video. And I've seen great performing videos with vague titles like this too. So it's an experimental type of approach where, yeah, I can pack in, bought a PlayStation 2 with gun cons, Namco, and do all that, which maybe I should start to steer back towards that direction. But yeah, again, just try to pique interest like you're talking about. And but with the combination of a vague title and a thumbnail that has a small item that's hard to see, I don't think that's a good combination.
Yeah, I think what you could do, so let me ask you this then, as far as what you just said, as far as kind of A/B testing this, did you take inspiration from that from other resale channels or just other channels in general?
A combination. Yeah. I follow a couple resellers. I follow some collectors. I follow people and take in some of the content from time to time, just to kind of see how these successful channels are presenting their content, get ideas and inspiration for mine as well without copying. I want to be my own thing.
Right.
And I take pride in not following trends in a sense, but incorporating things that people seem to enjoy into my content as well.
Right. Well, honestly, I mean, I feel like you're kind of on the right track here. I mean, you definitely got a good head on your shoulders. I mean, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. I think you just need to keep A/B testing those things. Maybe go back to trying to use the more SEO friendly titles and stuff like that. But, try the other way too. I know maybe like with, this is a paid thing, but with TubeBuddy, you can actually A/B test. I don't think you can A/B test titles, but you can actually A/B test thumbnails with some of their subscriptions.
I've seen that.
Yeah. So that's one of my client over at Bruzel. He uses that, and he used it quite a lot. But I mean, you can figure this stuff out on your own too. So maybe if you got like 2 hunting videos, like maybe try a more SEO friendly version that way. I would try to do this back to back, to be honest, because if you do it like a month apart, that's when it gets the data, like, because YouTube just changes so freaking fast that you just can't, like, you got to do them back to back. Otherwise, the information is just kind of useless. But I mean, honestly, I mean, we're on the same page about a lot of things. And I mean, I think if you just keep experimenting and keep putting out content consistently. I'm sorry, did you say how many years you were doing YouTube at this point? Like how many or how long you've been doing? You said since the pandemic, so about 2020.
Yeah. Casually then, it wasn't any kind of regularity at that point. And really, I was putting together like videos that were 25 minutes that had both a combination of items that had sold in one portion of the video, and then me going out and sourcing items in another portion of the video. I made an executive decision to split those apart. One, because I think at times those might be 2 different types of viewers. You know, some people are interested in what things are selling for. Some people are interested in watching a first-person view of you going out and finding things.
Right.
So, and also it creates double the content when I split them apart as well.
Right.
So that helped me in the creating, releasing videos on a regular basis.
Are you one of the only people kind of creating content like this in your area?
I don't know. I think it's actually, I'm in a space that it's niche and it's also saturated at the same time.
Right.
So getting clumped in, I mean, there's a ton of people that have become resellers over the pandemic in the same scenario as me, discovering people that are doing it, documenting it on YouTube, and taking inspiration from them and following in their footsteps and kind of modeling their approach after those people as well. So it's a dime a dozen, really.
Right. Actually, for a brief time, I was actually doing a lot of reselling myself. I wasn't going out and like finding stuff, but just like my own stuff. Video games specifically. I made quite a bit from video games.
Yeah.
But I was going to say there, I mean, one easy way that you can kind of, you know, if you're feeling kind of plateaued too, and you've tried everything and it's just not working, would be to maybe try to collaborate with other people. I mean, that seems to be working for me. Kind of, you know, interviewing different people like yourself. The last interview I did brought me probably at least, I don't know, 30, 40 subscribers probably from that whole series. So, I mean, that's 30 or 40 people I probably wouldn't have gotten on a normal video. So that is one route you could take, as well as maybe even if it's not like, if you can't meet up with people in person, maybe if you have to do it remotely, you'll probably have to find some unique way. I don't know, but, you know, something to consider at least.
Yeah, most definitely. I think, I mean, it's kind of like a comedy duo where you can play off of each other and it creates just a more entertaining experience for somebody who's watching versus just having somebody talking at you, you know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. So as we wrap up here, I just wanted to leave it open if you had any questions for me about anything, any thoughts about what I've said. I mean, I'm going to leave the floor open now.
So one, thank you. Thank you for taking time to do this and incorporating me into your channel as well.
Yeah.
I love creating in general. I love making music. I've had experience in filmmaking as well. Everything that I've been doing up to this point and gives me a medium that I can put it out to the world. And if people watch it, that's awesome. I love that my creations are entertainment for people and they get joy from it. If nobody watches it, that's cool too, because, you know, for me, this is just a hobby in a sense.
I was going to ask too, because when you reached out to me, it seemed like you want to try to grow your channel a bit, but I also wanted to ask you, like, what is your end goal here? Like, are you trying to make this a thing? I think you kind of answered that right there, but I mean, if your goal isn't necessarily for that growth, I mean, you can literally do whatever you want, you know? I mean, I know it kind of sucks that, you know, you put a lot of effort into these videos and they don't get a ton of traction. But what would you say your kind of, what are you hoping to get from this channel?
Yeah, I mean, it's the reselling aspect is part-time and the YouTube aspect is part-time as well. I'm full-time employed. I don't need ad revenue in order to sustain my livelihood. It would be great to add another revenue stream into the fold, especially after putting hours and hours into creating content and, you know, sharing yourself and putting yourself out there.
Right.
It would be great to be rewarded for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And it is a goal. It is a goal that I've had on the horizon and would like to reach. But getting help is always appreciated because, like you said, you do this for a couple of years and, you know, you see little by little growth, nothing that, you know, spikes right up. It can be deflating. I imagine a lot of people that start YouTube channels that put all that time and effort into their content and don't get any viewership or subscribers that, you know, just give up. So
yeah, I've been doing not necessarily YouTube, but just like this has been my life forever, you know. And I started my channel back in 2012, I think. I wasn't making videos because back then, like, making YouTube videos wasn't a giant thing at that point. It was just like, it was a way for me to just put out short films and stuff that I was making. So I actually, this is my first go at actually making YouTube videos, but because before this, I did a podcast and like I tried to do like courses and stuff like that. I was trying to take the lazy route because I was already spending all my time video editing for other people. I'm just like, do I really want to do something that's just so high effort? But the thing is, like, the high effort is what pays off more, especially in my career. Like, as soon as I really started putting effort into my career is when I started getting like the success. So it's like, if you don't put the work in, it's like it's not going to work out, you know?
Like many things in life, you get out what you put in. And I've been lazy in a sense too, because, you know, I'm not dependent on it.
Right.
You know, you take away everything else that I have and throw me down and say, you will not survive unless you get monetized and go for it. Then it's going to be a different story. You know? I'm going to go hard in the paint and, you know, just throw everything up and let it all loose. So I think that's part of the slow, gradual growth is that it's not my bread and butter in terms of my livelihood and my life in general.
Yeah.
But like you get in what you put in. I would love to dedicate, you know, 20 hours a week to doing this kind of thing. I just don't have it. It's just not.
Yeah. And
it's just not there.
I'm a full-time content creator and I don't have 20 hours to put in my channel a week. So I 100% feel you there. So if you had some sort of milestones, like I'm a big believer too in like visualizing kind of like where you want to be. So if you had to put like a milestone on like what you want to achieve here, say maybe in like by the summertime or something like that, where would you want to be?
So yeah, we're just about in March now. I'm sure by the time this goes out, it will be. Summertime, it would be great to hit the 500 subscriber mark just because I'm currently doing a giveaway on my channel. That's kind of how I've tried to inspire people to subscribe to the channel, is by offering giveaways at certain milestones in terms of the subscriber count. So right now there's a video, I don't know if you stumbled upon it, but it's 100 video games given away for free. And once the channel hits 500 subscribers, I'm giving away 100 video games to 4 subscribers selected at random.
Nice.
So
awesome.
That's like what I've used in terms to drive it a little bit, just because the slow growth wasn't cutting it.
Yeah, I feel you.
So, and it gives a kick. Like when the video goes, it gives an initial kick. But then, you know, the video falls out of the algorithm and it's so obscure that people might see it, they might not. And we're back to just like the slow growth again. So, those people will benefit from the slow growth eventually once it does hit there. But yeah, 500 would be great. Obviously an eventual goal is 1,000 subscribers and the 4,000 watch hours.
Yep.
I don't know if those are going to time out exactly. I think it's kind of working out to be like 370 is 37% of the 4,000 watch hours. And I don't think it's quite exactly lining up in terms of subscribers and the portion of the 4,000. I think the hour watch time is a little bit short. And that's probably mostly because I have short videos. I try to stay around like 6-7 minutes. And the reason for that is I think a short video becomes more approachable than like a 25-minute video. Maybe that's a subconscious kind of thing, but
I've heard a lot of mixed things here. So
yeah,
the channel that I just interviewed out of the basement, they were talking about how they felt that the algorithm is kind of favoriting short content right now. And I actually think it's the opposite a little bit. Not the 25-minute content necessarily, but and this could definitely be channel to channel. I mean, you would have to experiment with it. But with Brizzle, at least, we have found that 10 to 13-minute videos is our sweet spot.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's, I think the reason being there is because like we started out doing like 5 or 6 minute videos, like what you were just talking about, but most people would only view about 3 minutes of that. So when you double that time, you also double your watch time.
Watch hours. Yeah.
Yeah. So that climbed up, and then with the combination of the thumbnails and people clicking on it and then watching it, it just, now we're at a point where we will get at least 10,000 views by I'd say at least a week, but no more than 2 on all of our newer videos.
Yeah, that's one thing that I haven't gone back and experimented with. Thumbnail titles, I've tried to play around with those kinds of things. But yeah, the length of the video is something that I've just kind of stuck with. And a lot of that is just sheer limited time that I have to gather content in order to put into videos. So yeah, that's something that I'm definitely going to try and mix in a little bit. And I think with my new channel, that might be something that I'll implement as well, because I've got a sheet of about 40 videos ready, ideas, concepts ready to go. Nice. And they're not going to be short. They're going to be a lot of work. So.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's good information. I appreciate that.
Awesome. So any other questions or anything?
No, man, that covers it. Again, thanks so much for bringing me into the fold and talking with me. You gave me some good, useful information.
Awesome.
Things that I'm definitely going to keep in mind in terms of like when I'm creating thumbnails and titles. And yeah, I'm going to definitely start implementing those kinds of things and hopefully seeing some better results.
Awesome. Well, I definitely appreciate you being here with me, giving me access to your analytics. I'm a huge analytics nerd, so I love diving into people's channels like that and just seeing what's going on, try to figure out both selfishly for myself, but to help others too, you know. So I definitely appreciate you coming on to talk to me. Everybody, definitely subscribe to John's channel. It's at ATL Resell Guy. We got it here on the screen right now. Definitely check that out. And John, thank you again for being on, and thanks to everybody for watching.
Thanks, Alex.